Hi everyone, my name's Steele and I'm sharing my planner, journal, sketchbook, and project notebook lineup for 2025. So this doesn't include every single book that I currently have on the go, but it has most of them and it has almost all of the ones that I expect to be working in over the course of 2025. As a side note, I filmed this lineup video as one enormous video, but while I was editing it, I decided to break it into 3 slightly shorter videos because the total video was getting dangerously close to 2 hours long, which is just way too long because I talk about 36 different books in it, and I decided to break it into 3 different videos. So this is part 1, and this video has my planners, my bullet journal, and most, but not all, of my writing journals, so the journals that I primarily write in as opposed to drawing or sketching. Video number 2 has the rest of my writing journals, including one of my absolute favorites, and it has my new music journal and a bunch of what I call my project notebooks. So these are notebooks associated with specific projects like a novel manuscript or certain goals like a language that I want to learn. And then video number 2 also has all of the notebooks and sketchbooks associated with this massive fantasy world building project that I have on the go. Video number 3 has all of the rest of my sketchbooks, so messy sketchbooks, more polished sketchbooks, and sketchbooks for different mediums. If you're watching this video, part 1, on the day of its release, then part 2 should be out in a few days, and part 3 should be out a few days after that. So if you subscribe, you'll get notified when those videos are published. If you're watching this farther into the future, then all 3 videos should already be out and should be linked somewhere on screen or down below. As for who I am, my name is Steele Alexandra Doris. I'm a writer and an artist. I'm also a Victorianist, so I just literally a few weeks ago wrapped up a PhD in English Lit. I wrote a dissertation about Victorian crime fiction and Gothic novels, and I'm also the author of a trade-published book called Spirits, Seers, and Seances, which is a fun little book about a bunch of spooky Victorian practices like spiritualism, automatic writing, fortune-telling, and ghost hunting, Victorian celebrations of Christmas and Halloween, and Victorian folklore and Gothic novels. And that should be linked, my book should be linked somewhere down below. So just as a quick disclaimer before we jump into the video, I just want to say that I've been keeping diaries and journals forever. I was one of those kids who was always reading and always writing, and I started getting very serious about keeping a diary when I was about 13, so we're talking more than 15 years ago. So this practice that I have right now, it didn't spring up overnight, it didn't start this way, it was not this complicated when I first started, not by a long shot. And this is also just journaling, sketchbooking. This is a really big part of my life. I use my journals to help me with my art, my research, to help me plan and draft manuscripts. For a lot of people, this practice would be really excessive, but for me it works. And that's partly just because I like working in a lot of books. And it's also partly because of something that I'm going to mention a few times over the course of this video and the next 2, which is the fact that as much as this is in a lot of ways a really complicated, elaborate, sort of overwrought, maximalist journaling and sketchbooking practice, it's also a very, very flexible and adaptable practice. So when things are going well and I have more free time and I have a lot of ideas and I want to write in all of the books, I have all of the books. But if something changes or goes wrong and I'm a lot more stressed or I just don't have as much free time, I can pretty much immediately transition to a very stripped down version of my practice, a more minimalist practice in which I'm only working in a few books. And if there's ever been a year that's really put that to the test, it's definitely 2024. I also mentioned this a few times throughout the video, but 2024 has actually been the most difficult year of my life. This is, oddly enough, totally unrelated to the fact that I finally finished my dissertation and so my PhD in 2024. That was a lot of work and it was very stressful, but there were also some very, very difficult things going on in my personal life related mostly to my family and serious illness in my family that combined to just make 2024 a really hard year. However, despite the fact that 2024 was an awful year, I was writing and journaling and drawing and sketchbooking throughout the year, much more sporadically than usual, much more chaotically than usual, but I was doing it. I maintained the practices and the books and the routines that I felt like were helping me, which did change over the course of the year, and I put the rest on hold. And so one of the few satisfying things about this year has been that it gave me an opportunity to witness how resilient and adaptable my practice has become after all of these years and how much it helps me. So I will talk a bit about that over the course of these videos. I'll talk a bit about what specific features or practices have made my practice more resilient and adaptable. So on the topic of a maximalist journaling practice versus a minimalist journaling practice, one of the things to know is that as I sort of go through the video, I'm going to point out which notebooks are kind of more fun, frivolous. I work in them when I feel like it, when it's a good time to work in them, but I don't necessarily feel like I need to pick them up on a difficult day unless I really, really want to. And I'll point out which ones are sort of core books for me. So these right here are my 2 absolute core books. This is my bullet journal, and this is my sort of regular planner, daily planner, everyday planner, whatever you want to call it. These are the two notebooks that if I wake up one morning and I have the flu, or I wake up and my home is flooded and I need to like cancel everything for the day and call a plumber and change my whole plans, these are the two notebooks that I need to look in. This is a weekly planner. It's the Moleskine 18-month weekly planner. I'm not going to show you any spreads I'm actually working in because I have like other people's names and phone numbers in there. Here's like a blank spread. So it's weekly. I write firm goals for the week, like serious goals, things that need to get done over here. And then here's where my appointments, deadlines, bill due dates go, that kind of thing. I keep it very minimalist. I keep it very basic. And it's an 18-month planner. I switch these out in July because if you're on the academic system, November, December, January, February, there's a lot of important dates like applications for grants, fellowships, things like that are due. There's a lot of important stuff that happens like December and January, so I didn't want to switch planners then. July, on the other hand, is a dead month a lot of times on the academic calendar. So I like to switch my planners in July, and we'll see if I stick to that now that I'm not a student anymore. But yeah, so I use the 18-month planners, but I switch them every 12 months in July. So I started working in this one in July of 2024, and if I stick to the plan, I will stick to what I have been doing, and I think I will. I will use this through June of 2025 and then switch it out for another planner. So it's sort of decorated on the outside, but I keep it very minimalist inside. And it's just weekly essentials, weekly to-do lists, my, meetings and whatnot for the week. And then this is my bullet journal. This one is also actually almost full. I've really only got like that much left. So I hardly decorate this one at all, but I do have washi tape on the ends of some of the pages, and that's for the monthly goal list. So weekly lists go in here, daily and monthly lists are in here. And the monthly lists are marked out with washi tape. So that's why you can see some decorating on the end of the page. The point of these two books used together is that, again, if I wake up and I'm having a really difficult day for whatever reason, and I just need to know like what bills are due, who's expecting me, these are the two books, bullet journal and planner. This is a Leuchtturm 1917. This is the heavier weight paper. So instead of being 250 pages with 80 GSM paper, it's 120 GSM paper and only 205 pages, right? And I use dot grid. I'm not going to show you any spreads in this, but I'll show you some spreads from one of my last bullet journals. So I've been using bullet journals for probably 7 or 8 years. I've probably filled like 9 or 10 of them at this point. Let me see, where are my last? Okay, so here are the three. I haven't written the spines on these, but this one was October 18th, 2021 through May of 2022. This one was like 2022 to maybe beginning of 2023. And then this one was early 2023 through to December 2023. And this one, coincidentally, I was able to start January 1st, 2024. They don't usually line up like that. Usually they're more like this one, like it's middle of October to middle of May, middle of July to middle of February. This one just happened. I happened to like be able to start it January 1st, 2024, which was satisfying. I do have a month left in it though, about a month, I would say, maybe even 2 months. So I'll probably be finishing this one either late January or sometime in February 2025. And then I will get another Leuchtturm 1917 dot grid 120 GSM paper, and I will keep going. So as an example, we'll look at an old one. Oh, and I don't always decorate the covers. This is my favorite, even though the stickers have not held up. I printed a bunch of photos of the Lost Boys and put them on the cover. Michael's face is entirely burned off this one, so I don't know what happened to the stickers. They didn't really hold up, but I had fun decorating it. Okay, so this is one of my last ones, and I picked out a couple of spreads that I could actually show people. Okay, so here's like a busier spread. I am using different colors sometimes. I do use highlighters and things like that. Like I said, I use washi tape on the page, but I'm not drawing in here. It's not really pretty. A lot of times it's not even this busy. This is a busier spread. Here's a less busy spread, right? We've got some blank space here. You know, there's like some notes. I have, I guess this day I didn't have a to-do list. I just took notes from a class I was going to take. So things usually kind of look somewhere between this and this. And I don't make an effort to make it much prettier because I found that, again, if I start focusing on the design, it becomes a little less focused. And the point of the bullet journal is just to sort of keep me focused. These two are supposed to keep me focused. The other journals can inspire me. They can be a creative outlet. They can be fun. They can be a place to vent. These two are really just, they need to keep me focused. They need to keep me organized. So that's the purpose of these two. So yeah, so I'll be working in this for another month or two, and then I'll get another one just like it, and I'll work in that. And this one I'll probably be changing out in July, like I usually do. So that's the regular planner. There are two other kinds of planners I'm planning to use this year. This is what I call like my mini creative fun planner. This is not an 18-month planner. This is just a regular calendar year planner. So this is a 2025 planner. This is not this one's a Moleskine. This is a Leuchtturm, like my bullet journal. So Leuchtturm 1917. And it looks like this inside. It's a weekly planner style. And I've kept this. This is a newer kind of planner. I've been keeping these for a couple of years. So let's see. Here's my 2024 creative mini planner. And this is my 2023. So this one I didn't decorate. This one I did, but I did not like how it turned out. I just went in very chaotically with every sticker I could grab. And I like this year's cover much better. I actually made a video decorating some notebook covers in advance of the new year, and I'm probably going to post those on YouTube. Definitely on Instagram, probably on YouTube. So yeah, those will be videos. I also usually edge the pages. So I did that for both of these years. They don't come with these colors. They come like that. I forgot to do it. I'm going to do it for 2025. Every month gets a different color. And yeah, I found that that helps me navigate through these books. So let me show you what spreads kind of look like in here. We'll just go to January of 2024. So what I did, okay, where is it? Yeah, I put some sticky notes on so I didn't reveal everything that I wrote. Oh, and Leuchtturm has changed the design, actually, I've noticed. For this year, for 2025, it looks like this. But for 2024, 2023, and 2024, it was like the whole week was here. And then there was like a lined paper on this side. This year, they've switched to this style, so we'll see how I like that. But in the old style, this is sort of what I've been doing. I'll just have notes, fun things, creative things, and then maybe some funner creative lists, usually for the week. Because this was the first week of 2024, I had goals for the year. But usually it's goals for that week. So you know how I said like fun lists fun things mostly don't go in here, more serious things go in here. So actual goals that I need to get done for the day, for the month, for the week, they'll go in here. If I have fun things, like here's 6 musicals I'd like to watch this month, or here's my fun historical fiction reading list, or here are 6 favorite horror movies I want to rewatch. I love making lists. I find serious, organized lists very important for keeping my life together, and I find fun or aspirational lists just fun. I don't know. I like them. I think in lists. I love a good list. Love, love, love a good list. So fun lists tend to go in here. I have another notebook I'm using that I'm actually calling my book of lists. I'll show that later. But fun little lists and goals day to day tend to go in here. Again, that's so that if I wake up and I'm having a really stressful day, or I've gotten bad news, or I'm sick, I can just sort of see my pared down serious lists in here. And I'm not going to be like overwhelmed with like, here are 3 movies I want to watch today, or here's a fun new recipe I want to try. That stuff goes in here. Yes, so I think that's all I have to say. Oh, and then the other thing I'll do with the mini planner is I will carry it with me or have it with me sometimes when I'm working. And then if I get an idea, something creative, something fun that I want to do, I will jot it down in this notebook. You know, it might be an idea for something I want to draw later when I'm working in my sketchbook, or an idea for a fiction project that I'm working on. I'll note it down in here. And then when I finally get creative time at the end of the day, I already have a list. A lot of times I'll rank it of ideas for things I've gotten throughout the day that I want to write or want to draw. And they're already sort of written down and ranked. And then the second I sit down, I kind of know like, oh, here are things I decided I wanted to work on throughout the day. And that sort of helps me take advantage of the creative time that I get. Because sometimes if you're working all day and you're getting all of these ideas and you're not writing them down and you're not kind of keeping them somewhere, you can sit down tired, but you finally have your creative time at the end of the day. And you do not, your brain can freeze. You're like, I know I had a million great ideas while I was working. I had all of these things I wanted to do. I had so many plans, and now I finally have an hour and a half before I go to bed, and I can't think of any of them. So I will make notes if I'm getting ideas throughout the day. I'll jot them down in here, and a lot of times I'll even try to rank them so that when I sit down, my brain doesn't freeze, and I'm like, oh my God, what do I do first? I know, because I've already ranked them throughout the day, and so I know, start with the first one. So that's this fun, creative mini planner, basically. This is kind of a newer planner that I'm keeping. This is another, so it's a Leuchtturm 12-month. It's basically the big version of this little guy. But it does have the old style where it's got lined paper, the whole week on one side, lined paper on the other. This is more of a project and content planner. I am planning to post more online. I want to be writing more. I want to be drawing more. I'm hoping that posting online more will sort of keep me accountable. And I want to plan posts and content and things like that. And I didn't think that they sort of made sense in the fun planner, because the fun planner is supposed to be zero pressure, zero obligation, just vibes. But it didn't really make sense in this planner either, because this planner is sort of if you don't do the things in this planner, something terrible will happen. So it didn't really fit in either planner, because it's sort of this middle ground where I do want to be serious and committed. But if I post something a day late on Instagram or YouTube, nothing terrible is going to happen. So this, we'll see how this goes. I've kind of trialed this kind of planner. This past year, I had this little planner where I wasn't really posting online, but I was getting a lot of ideas for content and things like that. And so I was jotting them down in this planner, even though I wasn't really posting them. And I found it useful enough, even though I wasn't posting, that I decided I wanted a proper planner this year, a bigger one. So I got this. So yeah, these are 3 planners. The serious planner, the content planner, and then the fun, whimsical, whatever planner. And then there's my bullet journal, trusty bullet journal. Couldn't function without it. So those are journals and planners. The next, those are planners and my bullet journal. Next up are what I call my journals. And I just want to say, the labels that I use, these are the labels that work for me. They're not necessarily I don't necessarily call my notebooks what anyone else would call them. So for example, this is my number one of my journals that are for writing in, as opposed to my bullet journal, which is just for keeping me organized. For journals that I actually write in regularly, this one right here is what I call my diary. Now, some people would consider a journal a kind of a diary. Some people would consider a diary kind of a journal. Some people would think they're interchangeable. This is just what works for me. I call this kind of book my diary. And basically, I write in it wall of text style. I have some examples I'll show you in a minute. But I write in it wall of text style. I try to write basically every morning. I usually write 1.5 to 2 pages. If I have more time, maybe I'll write 3, 4, 5 pages. And I just write black ink, pen, wall of text. I don't paragraph. I don't do anything. I just leave one line in between entries for different days. And I just sort of talk about what happened the day before and what I'm hoping to do this day. And that's really it. And sometimes I will write in it other times a day, but I've gotten in the habit lately. I write in it in the mornings typically. And I call that my diary, because it's just very focused on who am I seeing? Where am I going? What am I doing? What's stressing me out? What am I excited about? It's kind of the day-to-day. It's just day-to-day stuff. Who am I with? What are we doing? Basically. This is kind of one of the kinds of journals that I've been keeping the longest. When I was 13 and I got very serious about keeping a journal, I was calling it my diary, and it was basically that sort of thing. It was me talking about what I was doing and who I had a crush on and what I had to do for schoolwork and that kind of thing. So this is a Peter Popper Press. It's one of their, they call them like their oversized journals. They're like 192 pages, and they're slightly larger. They're like their slightly larger size. I forget what the official size is. I have been using these notebooks forever. So this is my current diary. I am this much of the way through it. Yeah, so over halfway. This has been a rough diary. This has been really rough. I started keeping it I started this latest volume in July. And July was when the year had been difficult up to July, but July is when 2024 absolutely lost its mind and just went completely off the rails for me. I had, stuff just went really insane in July, and I started keeping this about a week before things really hit the fan. So it's been a ride. I'm really looking forward to actually closing the chapter that I've been living in since July. I'm hoping to just shut the door on it, and I'm looking forward to finishing this journal. It's really hard to say how much longer I'll be working in it for, because I've finished these 192 page notebooks. I've finished them at the fastest. I think I've finished them in about 4 months. And I've also, at the longest, been working in them for 14 months. So it kind of depends. And I love this style of notebook. I love it. Peter Popper Press. I'll have it linked down below. I have filled a bunch of them. So these are my last, this is the one I'm working in right now. And this one, I think I started, so this is the one I finished right before this one. So this is my last 4 years of, let me see, this is the oldest one of this stack. Again, I've been keeping diaries forever, but let's see, when did I, okay, this one I started March 23rd, 2021. And then I think I averaged, I don't know, 6 or 7 months in them. I'd have to do math, but yeah, March 2021. I think I finished this in 2021, started this one in 2021, finished it sometime in 2022. This one I was working on while I was writing my book, so the spiritualist book. So this one took me a really long time to finish. It was like a 13-monther, I think, because I was working on my dissertation and also writing the book on a very quick time frame. This one was quick because I started it once the book was done. I think I maybe worked in it 5 months, something like that. And this one was 4 or 5 months as well. These two I worked through pretty quickly. And then, so this one I finished in July, and this one I started in July. And it's been a cursed book. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. They're all beautiful. They have gilded pages. They hold up incredibly well. I've got a bunch of them. These are just from the last few years. I have a ton of them. I've been using them forever. I love them. Will be using them for the foreseeable future. Just as an example, I have so yeah, I do wall of text in them. This is just an example. I kind of found a page where there's not a lot going on, and I put some sticky notes over it to blur out some things. But yeah, I write black ink. This was actually, I just switched to a fountain pen, so I'm just blabbering about pens. But yeah, I do wall of text, black ink, and there's 192 pages. 192 pages in each book. So these are 5 books here, so this is just short of 1,000 pages. If you include the first half of this, which I've done, this is over 1,000 pages of diary entries just since March 23rd, 2021. So my diary is another kind of core book for me. It is not essential in the way that, my bullet journal and my main planner are absolutely essential, but if I'm not having a completely awful day, the third book that I will probably turn to after my bullet journal and my planner to make sure that I'm on top of basic stuff, the third book that I will usually turn to is my diary. I will usually write in my diary. I will usually write in it in the morning. I've gotten to the point where I do this so much that it feels weird and the day feels off if I don't write in my diary. So yes, I write in my diary a lot. I'm going to wrap this one up sometime. If I had to guess, maybe March. We'll see. But it really depends how the year goes. And after this past year, who knows? Who knows? And when I finish this, I'm going to get another one with with a different color cover, but exactly the same otherwise, and I'm gonna work in that one. So that is the diary, and that's like my number one of the writing journals I keep. That's my number one. Okay, so I'll try to go pretty quickly from here on out. These are just a bunch more journals that I keep. Again, I'm going to be really honest. Like, some of these I write in very regularly and some of them I don't. And I'll sort of share which ones I do, which ones I don't. Some of them are a little more aspirational. I'll talk about that more when I get to the project notebooks. Like, some of them I have the journal because I want to work in it more, and some of them I'm actually working in a lot. So, really quickly. This is, it's another one of the Peter Popper Press journals that I was showing you before. Although this one, they have like this blank purple spine, which I don't love. But otherwise, it's exactly the same kind of book, and it is a very pretty cover. But it is not one of my diaries. This is what I call, I sort of like call it like a shadow work journal or something like that. It's basically where a lot of venting and processing difficult things goes. If I feel like it's dragging down the vibe of my diary, and I don't like want to clog up my diary with me just going around and around and around, being irritated or angry or disappointed about the same stuff, I put it in here. And one of the reasons is, like, when I get older, if I have kids or nieces or nephews, I may, if they want them, leave the diaries to them, right? But I don't want all of this kind of gunk in the diaries. So these guys, like the shadow work journal, I might just burn. Like, those I might burn. The diaries I will probably keep. And if there's someone who wants them, I'll probably give them to them. But the shadow work journals are probably going to bite the dust at some point. So yeah, this kind of journal, the shadow work journal, I don't know. Sometimes I sort of go through phases. If I'm going through something difficult and I'm really processing it, I might write in here a lot. And then I might go through a period where I'm not really processing anything, and I won't write in it that much. The weird thing is, even though 2024 has been a horrible year, I actually have hardly written in this book at all this year. And I think that's actually because a lot of times I write in this when I'm processing difficult things. And 2024, I actually haven't been processing difficult things as much as I've been surviving difficult things. Haven't had a lot of time for processing because I've just been rolling with the punches. So next year, I wouldn't be surprised if I use this more, because hopefully, if 2025 is a more stable year, I might actually process some of the insanity that occurred in 2024, which would be great. And then I might actually use this notebook more. So this year I wasn't using it a ton. I like having it on hand. I like knowing that it's there, because sometimes I start writing an entry and it just takes a dark, whiny, angry, whatever turn. And I like the idea of just putting it in a different book. Yeah, what goes in here tends to be kind of very pessimistic, and it's often like, it's true to how I'm feeling, but it's not always that true to reality. So like, if I'm arguing with someone and I know that they love me very much and they want the best for me, but in the moment I feel like they're like out to get me, I don't really necessarily want to write that in my diary, because I know that it's not true, right? And I don't want my diary to get like really inaccurate and really emotional, but I'll write it in here, because this is where the stuff that's sort of maybe not true to reality, but true to how I'm feeling goes. So I don't want to clog up my diary with that. So it goes in here. Let's see, what else? Okay, this is kind of the opposite. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it beautiful? This is not a Peter Popper Press. This is a Flame Tree Studios, I think. Yeah, Flame Tree Notebook. Art is by Amy Stewart. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. I love it. This is a gratitude journal. Yeah, so the shadow work journal is more than halfway done, even though I didn't write in it very much this year. The gratitude journal is maybe a quarter of the way done, maybe not even that. Haven't been writing in this one a whole lot lately either, but I like having a gratitude journal around. A lot of times with the gratitude journal, I might commit to writing in it every day for a month, and then when that month is over or that week is over, I just sort of stop using it for a while. So I like having it. I like having it sort of on the go. But yeah, I'll go through periods where I'm writing it a lot and periods where I'm not writing in it very much at all. The funniest thing is when I go through a period where I'm writing in both of these at the same time, because it's like, if you just read this, you would get the impression everything in my life is falling apart. If you just read this, which is the stuff I'm grateful for, you would get the impression that everything is amazing. And And then like the diary kind of actually balances things out, right? So it's a little bit more, and again, this is part of why I kind of have like the diary where I try to be a little more accurate and a little more level-headed. And then I have like the gratitude journal where everything is just amazing and something to be grateful for. And then the shadow work journal, which is like where I'm just like ranting 24/7, right? So this is part of why I separate these out into different books. I also like, if I write something really intense in this journal, I like being able to just close the cover, put it on the shelf, and not look at it for 5 days. And if I put it in my diary, then it's like in my diary. So yeah, I like having shadow work journal, gratitude journal, having these. Okay, and a couple of others. I have, this is a visualization journal. It's like a visualization kind of affirmation, creative meditation kind of journal. I spend time in here sort of writing. It's a specific style of writing, like scripting, where you sort of write what you want, but you write it as if it's already happened. So like before I had actually finished my PhD, I could write in here like, I have finished my dissertation. I have graduated. I am at peace. Everything is going well. So again, it's sort of a very positively inflected journal, and it's me writing, again, things that like kind of aren't true or aren't true yet. You know, everything's amazing. I live by the beach. I have written 20 novels, right? Again, for obvious reasons, I have that separated out from my diary because like this stuff isn't strictly true. It's aspirational. It's not actually true. So I don't want to get confused if I go back through my diary like 20 years later and I'm reading something and I'm like, oh, I didn't think that I'd already finished my dissertation in 2020. And it's like, no, you didn't. You were scripting it. You were scripting it. It wasn't done yet. So everything is specifically in here, and nothing in here is strictly speaking accurate, right? It's affirmations, visualization, scripting. It's a cute little book. It's paper blanks. It's a paper blanks journal. It's adorable. I love it. This is a dream journal. I don't write in this one very frequently. Where am I? Yeah, I don't write in this one very much. I actually would like to, at some point in 2025, just set a goal to be committed to dream journaling every single morning when I wake up. So just journal what I dreamt, if I remember anything. And actually just finish the notebook. I would like to finish this notebook. I've been using this on and off for years and years because I almost never dream journal. I don't dream journal very often. So I usually only dream journal when I have a really, really bizarre dream. So I will say what is in here is like absolutely hallucinatory. It's some of the weirdest stuff that's ever come out of my mind in one book. But I would like to actually finish this notebook because I just feel like it's been around for a really long time. So hopefully at some point in 2025, I will commit to just like a month or 6 weeks of trying to dream journal every single morning. So getting some of the more inane dreams too, and not just the absolute craziest ones, and wrap up this book. But I do like having a dream journal on the go because I just think sometimes the dreams are really bizarre, and it's really interesting comparing them too. So this is another beautiful cover, another really beautiful cover. What is this? Is this paper blanks too? This might actually be, you know what? I think that, oh yeah, this is another Peter Popper press. This is basically like a body journal. I track my energy levels, I track my exercise, I track things like that in here. I like this because it's like a celestial design. There's like a woman with a moon, and it's like there's a lot of like cyclical tracking and things like that in here. So yeah, I'm not going to show any spreads because it's all personal stuff, but it's kind of like a bullet journal, but for my like body and health, basically. So yeah, I'll be working in that one too. I just sort of update it periodically when I feel like there's something, a goal I want to work towards, or something of note, or some kind of cycle that I'm tracking, or a healthy habit that I'm tracking, anything like that. So yes, shadow work journal, gratitude journal, visualizations and affirmations journal, dream journal, body, mind, whatever journal. Haha. This is more of like a spiritual tarot kind of journal. I write a lot about mythology in here when I'm working with a tarot deck, kind of journaling with the cards, things like that. It's a very like myth, legend, tarot, archetype, stars, stories, magic of narrative kind of a notebook. I've been working on it on and off since 2023. And I have not been very prolific in it at all since during 2024 because, again, crazy year. I also haven't, I want to paint the cover, but I'm getting a little precious about like what I want to paint on it because I feel like it should be something profound. This is a moleskin. This is one of the like cahiers. I'm not exactly sure, but they're the soft bound and they usually come in sets of 3. I like the cahiers. I use them for a bunch of different things. These are lined inside, and I think I'm about 1/3 of the way through this. No, maybe not even that. Maybe a quarter. Yeah, I'm maybe a quarter of the way through this. So this is the spiritual tarot, whatever notebook I was using before. I made the decision to move it out of. This is yet another Peter Popper press, but it's the smaller. So this is the smaller size. For my diary, I like to use this size, but for my spiritual, whatever, spiritual, witchy, tarot, etc., mythology, I was using this size. And then I moved into a moleskin cahiers. And I'm not really sure how I feel about it. I might move back into a book like this when I finish this notebook, but we'll see. Yeah, so I'm not going to share the current one, but in like the old one, it was more kind of wall of text, pretty much. A little more colorful, a little more lively, recording tarot spreads, things like that. This one has been a little more serious, a little more black ink. I've kind of been, I don't know, I've been going through some stuff obviously recently. And I've just been, I don't know, figuring things out in this notebook. It's been an interesting place to figure things out and to sort of write in it and update it when I feel like something kind of fundamental about my worldview or my outlook or my relationship with myself has changed in an important way. And then also, again, just making notes from mythology, tarot, anything like that.
Okay, everyone, that's the end of part 1 of my 2025 lineup. Part 2 picks up with my last few writing journals, including one of my absolute favorite kinds of journals to keep, and then it goes into my project notebooks, my music journal, and the notebooks associated with my big fantasy world building project, including my world building sketchbook. Then, part 3 has all of the rest of my sketchbooks, for different purposes and different mediums, about 10 or 11 sketchbooks total. If you're watching this video the day it was released, then video 2 should be out in a few days, and video 3 should be out a few days after that. If they're already out, they should be linked somewhere on screen or down below. Thanks for watching, and if you want to see more journaling and sketchbooking content, consider liking and subscribing.